a comment for you. Jean-Christophe, in the chat, he said he'd agreed with you regarding the importance of demography in land talks and in the land issue. And one of the biggest issues in the Mekong region, he says, perhaps he's from there, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and Myanmar, is demographic growth and the need for land for future generations. And this has not been factored into the making of redistributive and distributive land policy. So in government policy. And this has been, the fact that this hasn't been factored in has been very problematic for current and future generations of farmers. So this was Jean-Christophe in the chat. I will just read out some more as well for you, Mr. Ardo. There's one more from Jean-Christophe again. From Isa. She says, thanks a lot for your presentation, Mr. So. The Senegalese approach seems interesting to me when we know that in some countries where land belongs to family communities, they tend to sell it off. As a result, younger generations find themselves without land. There isn't really a question. These are just comments on your presentation. I think it was very well received, Mr. Ardo.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I suggest that we take some more comments and then the panelists can have a few minutes to answer?
I have some on the document. Sorry.
It's only comments. No, it's not questions, so it's okay.
Yeah. Right now they're comments, as far as I can tell.
But there may be some people who are listening who also want to speak, so perhaps we can give them a chance.
Yeah.
Is there anyone who's listening who would like to ask a question or make a comment?
So
I think, Mr. Harimanga wanted to speak, and maybe Alonso.
Okay, we have 4 people who are asking to speak, I believe, on the attendee chat. I'll just unmute Mr. Harimanga to start with. Mr. Harimanga, you can now unmute yourself and pose your question. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup de m'avoir donné la parole. Moi, j'ai posé la question sur cette lacune des droits fondamentaux, des textes fondamentaux sur le droit de l'homme. Mais il y a déjà la Déclaration des Nations Unies sur le droit des paysans et paysannes et les personnes vivant en milieu rural, là. Mais ça reste toujours dans la déclaration. Et il y a aussi le directive volontaire de la gouvernance responsable de la terre et des ressources naturelles. Mais tout ça reste toujours dans le domaine de la déclaration. Mais comment va-t-on pallier tout ça pour que les paysans et les paysannes puissent jouir vraiment leur droit à la terre, mais pas seulement le droit foncier, mais le droit à la terre, donc l'accès à la terre pour qu'ils pourraient vivre dans l'aisance. J'ai encore pas mal de questions et pas mal je veux exprimer, mais je vais attendre mon tour en tant que panéliste pour le deuxième panel, la deuxième réunion là.
Merci. Donc, il y a qui des panélistes qui voudraient prendre cette question?
C'est quoi la question? On l'a pas bien entendu. Le micro, ça sonnait un peu trop fort là.
Ok, on peut répéter. Vous pouvez répéter la question, Monsieur Harimanga?
In summary form.
No, the question is about the fact that land rights are not recognized in the official human rights declaration. So Mr. Harimanga is asking how they can be more effectively recognized.
Okay, I see Ana Maria with the raised hand. So go on, Ana Maria.
Yeah. What I understand is that he is concerned because the UN Declaration on the Rights of Peasants and the voluntary guidelines on land tenure are non-binding instruments, right? It's voluntary, and then he is asking, okay, how can we do if this is not obligatory to ensure that we can enforce these rights. And of course, and retaking what has been said many times, it depends of how people organize and make political pressure. But in some cases, for example, we can take the declaration as a way to interpret the existing obligations of states, for example, under the Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. And in this sense, we can make, as lawyers used to do, make the turn to ensure that we connect existing rights, like the right to dignified life, like the right to food, the right to housing, with the right to land, recognized in the declaration, and through that, we could defend some legal cases. We need to be very creative as lawyers, but I think that would be the way for the legal part, taking into account that this requires people to be organized to put the political pressure for it, and we need to have some allies within the UN system. And I think that we have some of the current special rapporteurs that are supporting, like the one on the right to food. And also, as you know, might know, the Committee on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights is writing a general comment on land and ESCR, and they will recognize the right to land for peasants, not as a universal right, but for peasants and for indigenous peoples. So this begins to create the legal space for it.
Also, if I can just add, the history has been that the so-called non-binding instruments, or often called soft law, have actually been used in courts as legal instruments. So we have many cases with the guiding principles on internal displacement, with the forced evictions guidelines, which have, so actually when it comes to courts or it comes to policies or laws, that distinction is not made. And I think we need to remember that. And the same is beginning to happen with UNDROP, as Anna Maria was saying. So let's not, get too saddened if we say it's a non-binding, but non-binding can also have a very major impact. Yeah, go ahead.
Quelqu'un peut traduire en français?
We have...
Attends, peut-être quelqu'un peut traduire en français ou en... Je ne sais pas. La réponse?
Yeah.
Bon, moi, je peux essayer en deux phrases de manière très synthétique. Oui, les droits récents, les reconnaissances des droits des paysans, ce n'est pas un instrument obligatoire, mais ça a quand même un impact à partir du moment où il y a une pression politique, d'une part, une mobilisation politique, et d'autre part, les juristes peuvent utiliser ces références et les lier à d'autres droits. Et finalement, au niveau de la justice, quelquefois, la différence n'est pas si flagrante que ça. Donc, il ne faut pas désespérer de ces droits. Même s'ils ne sont pas obligatoires, ils permettent quand même de faire la différence. Mais il faut toujours qu'il y ait une pression politique, disons, de la base. Sinon, évidemment, rien ne se passe.
Thank you, Christian. We have Alonso, who is waiting in the queue as well. I'm just giving you the mic now. Alonso, you can pose your question. Alonso, can you hear us? Okay, I'm going to move on to Jacques, who also wanted to pose a question. Go ahead, Jacques, you're unmuted.
Então, na verdade, bom dia a todos e todas. Não chega a ser uma pergunta, mas essa partilha das preocupações da disputa dos territórios, né, que a gente vem colocando aqui nos comentários, ela tem se acirrado aqui no Brasil, tanto com estratégias tanto do Poder Executivo, por parte do Presidente da República, mas também com a base de apoio no Congresso Nacional, no Poder Legislativo, de dificultar o acesso à terra, a luta pela terra, e também de demarcação de território dos povos tradicionais, dos povos indígenas, e além de dificultar o acesso, a gente tem uma tentativa de retirada daqueles territórios que já estão demarcados, né? Então, o que nós estamos vivendo é um momento não só de retrocesso, mas de ameaça de retirada daquilo que a gente já tinha conquistado. Então, essa articulação internacional que o fórum, que esse coletivo aqui se propõe, ele é muito importante, é muito desafiador, no momento em que nós temos pessoas hoje no poder que ele não reconhece os organismos internacionais, inclusive, e que faz de tudo para poder fazer o ataque aos grupos chamados grupos minoritários. Então, eu já tinha levantado uma questão no fórum de lançamento, no seminário de lançamento, era de como que a gente articula os espaços dos parlamentos, como o Parlamento do Mercosul, o Parlasul ou o Parlamento Europeu, para ter iniciativas legislativas ou desses espaços para tentar forçar os poderes locais, os estados nacionais, a cumprirem com suas obrigações e a cumprirem com os acordos internacionais. Porque a gente tem muitos ataques nessa perspectiva. Para além desses que nós falamos, há uma proposta de iniciativa também legislativa para que a gente não precise, aqui no Brasil, cumprir com o acordo da Convenção 69 da OIT. Então, como que a gente avança com esses espaços institucionais, como nos parlamentos, principalmente nos parlamentos, como um instrumento, uma ferramenta nossa da classe trabalhadora, sabe? Eu acho que isso a gente teria que, nesses 6 meses agora de discussão, pensar numa estratégia de como incidir nesses espaços.
I can translate if you want.
Yes, it would be nice. Thank you.
Just a minute. I have it in Spanish in the chat, and now I will try to translate into English. So he says that regarding the concerns in the different remarks, he wants to tell us that in Brazil they are developing a strategy to
Ana Maria, sorry, we have English interpretation right now. We don't have the other languages.
Sorry.
English,
Okay.
English we have.
Okay.
But thank you so much.
Then the Spanish is in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Bon, je peux, en français, en très résumé. Donc, Alonso témoigne qu'actuellement au Brésil, il y a une grande attaque contre les droits des agriculteurs et des communautés, en particulier des communautés indigènes, avec le Congrès national et le gouvernement qui sont en train de faire passer des lois pour remettre en question des droits déjà acquis et remettre en question des droits des communautés. Donc, pour eux, c'est important d'avoir pensé à des alliances internationales pour lutter contre ces tendances. Et il propose de réfléchir à la manière de mettre en lien les différents parlements, à la fois au Mercosur et l'Union européenne, pour que les parlements fassent pression sur le Parlement brésilien, par exemple, pour qu'il respecte un peu ses engagements internationaux. Voilà, en très résumé.
Merci beaucoup.
Il y a encore une question qui est posée, elle est sur le chat, mais je ne sais pas si vous voulez la poser vous-même. Michel Merlet, je peux vous donner la parole. Ouais, c'est à vous.
Merci, oui, j'ai très rapidement ébauché une question. Moi, je suis un peu étonné de voir que ce qu'on entend aujourd'hui ressemble énormément à ce qu'on avait déjà discuté il y a 20 ans à Porto Alegre au premier forum social mondial. Hein, et il y a un certain nombre de choses un peu nouvelles qui sont apparues, mais dans l'ensemble, on reste un peu sur les mêmes observations. Et on n'a eu aucune analyse critique des propositions qui ont été faites par le passé et mises en œuvre depuis 100 ou 120 ans, disons, hein, en particulier au niveau des réformes agraires. On ne s'est jamais demandé pourquoi est-ce que les réformes agraires qui ont réellement été mises en œuvre dans le monde depuis 100 ans n'ont pas permis de dépasser le capitalisme et d'arriver à un régime communiste ou socialiste, hein, mais en général l'ont au contraire renforcé. Bon, les deux plus beaux exemples, c'est celui de l'Union soviétique, hein, qui a été le meilleur moyen de promouvoir un capitalisme agraire effréné, hein, et celui de la Chine, où la réforme agraire efficace a finalement permis de construire un capitalisme parmi les plus agressifs qu'on peut trouver aujourd'hui, qui n'est certes pas rural, hein, mais qui est au niveau de la sphère industrielle et puis des échanges en général. Hein, donc, par rapport à tout ça, moi, il me semble que dans notre séminaire, là, il va falloir absolument se poser la question de savoir pourquoi est-ce que ces choses-là n'ont pas marché. Et alors qu'il y a de moins en moins de paysans et de plus en plus de travailleurs agricoles qui n'ont plus de lien à la terre, et de plus en plus de gens dans les villes, comment est-ce qu'on va pouvoir avoir les rapports de force pour pouvoir continuer à changer les rapports à la terre? Hein, donc je pense qu'il n'y a pas moyen de pouvoir continuer à utiliser les mêmes slogans. La réforme agraire populaire au Brésil, aujourd'hui, personne ne votera la réforme agraire populaire au Brésil puisque 80% des gens sont dans les villes. Et finalement, la question agraire, ce n'est pas tellement leur problème. Leur problème, c'est d'avoir des aliments pas trop chers, hein, et d'avoir un minimum de qualité de vie dans les villes. Hein, donc, je pense qu'il y a vraiment des questions de fond qu'il faut se poser. Et ces questions, elles passent par la remise en cause des schémas de développement agricole qui ont été mis en place par en particulier des régimes socialistes et aussi bien sûr les régimes capitalistes, mais qui dans l'ensemble ont été moins agressifs vis-à-vis de leur paysanat que les régimes communistes.
Merci, Michel. I think we've lost English translation, so I'll just try and recap quickly what Michel says. He's saying that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We couldn't hear you. So.
But we couldn't hear the English translation. Sorry.
He's stopped speaking, Brila. Okay. Anyway, it's fine. I'll just translate this quickly then. So what he says, what Michel says, is that a lot of what we've discussed during this webinar, he's already heard similar slogans, similar positions, similar points 20 years ago at the World Social Forum in Porto Alegre. So for him, it's really necessary that we kind of change our thinking around this issue, particularly with increasing urbanization around the world. And he gives the example of Brazil, where he says that increasing urbanization and changing living standards and more people wanting a particular type of life in the cities, shall we say, means that they will not vote for the kind of vote for politicians, maybe a vote for change necessarily at a more rural level. So he urges more of an exploration, basically, or maybe a change in thinking as opposed to how we used to treat this issue 20 plus years ago. Okay. Okay. Over to you now, Milun, for our wrap up, because we have to finish, I'd say, in the next 5 minutes, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much, Gyan, for managing that question answer. I had a few points to make, but I think it may be very useful given the different levels of experience. If Rameshji, if you could conclude in 5 minutes, and then we can talk about the next steps.
Milunji, I would say, Milunji, let's share 2.5 minutes.
Okay. Okay. I think what we heard today are two what you can call almost divergent points, where there's a lot of sort of almost depression at the rapid level of the loss of land-based resources and the increase in land grabbing. But on the other hand, we also heard that there are attempts being made at the international level and many national levels to promote land rights. And also the work at the UN has not stopped. There are attempts being made to have land recognized as a human right. And as some of you may know, there's also very active discussions going on a binding treaty on transnational corporations and human rights. And of course, we all want the big change, but I think the point Anna Maria made, that small steps are important, and there is, incremental change that is taking place. Now the question is whether that is going to keep pace with the negative dimensions that have been raised. And I also wanted to say that, the Brazil reality may be, much more urbanization, but in India and many countries in sub-Saharan Africa, we still have very large rural populations. So I think there is still hope for that kind of land reform. And I think we have to see this as a first step. There's going to be, in this larger forum, there's going to be more discussions. And I think the fact that so many people have come together at the global level again and continue to work across nations and across regions is a very, very, very positive aspect. So I just wanted to conclude on that optimistic note. Ramesh, please.
Yeah, thanks, Milun. I want to take where you have actually ended. Yes, there is a lot of positive things is also happening around us. If I compare the land movement 20 years back versus the land movement today, spreading over across the country and across the world, there is more and more movement is actually emerging, believing in different ideologies, using different strategies, and doing a different sorts of campaign. So I can also see, being a land activist, I can also see, apart from all those challenges, there are some successes in every countries and in every continent. Slowly, some governments are also recognizing the land policies and the different land legislations. I mean, take example of Forest Rights Act in India, which actually came after 20 years of long struggle on the ground. And finally, the indigenous community, they have right to claim or reclaim their forest territories. So as I said, that there are some successes and there are some opportunities too. But let me tell an interesting point. I mean, I'm a part of a global knowledge hub, which was set up by the UN Food Summit. So on the other day, when we had a discussion, I raised this question: is there any way to secure the food systems without recognizing the land tenure and without recognizing the agrarian reforms? So this could be a one central questions in the coming months, in the coming weeks. And if all of us, we start raising this as a central issue, probably we can change the entire discourse rather than the all nutrition specific discussion or nutrition centric discussion to the land reforms as a basic questions around the food systems. So I can see this as an opportunity. But let me recall what on the other day Professor Jha has said, that there is a high time for us to rethink about the representation as a way out, especially in the post-COVID new normal or new abnormal world. And why it's important? Because this is the only way to sustain the family economy or the farm economy of the 2/3 of the poor population, the landless population, who'd like to see a better world tomorrow. I'm sure before ending the global promise of 2030. So in conclusion, I would say that, there are four very important points. The first is land to the landless and homeless population is the only way to secure the life and livelihood of democratic majority in the world. The second point, which actually I draw through discussion, is the urgency to change the economic model and political projects in order to halt the massive resource grab in the name of development. The third conclusion I have actually drawn after the speakers, it's the women and youth must be among the topmost priority for the land redistribution process in the future. And the fourth is commons strictly need to be protected for the common future of the commons. So thanks Milunji, thanks to Anacha, thanks to Anamaria, thanks to Professor Jha, thanks to Erdo, thanks to Gyan, Matthew and Christine, and a very, very special thanks to Milunji for conducting this very, very interesting and discussion. In coming weeks, we will continue this discussion until the mid of July. And I'm sure when we reach to the final day of this 1 month long conversation, we'll definitely get some more hope, more energy for the future struggle. So thanks to all of you again on behalf of the organizing committee.
Thank you, Ramesh. I think Gyan has.
Yeah, Christo, you should be able to see Christian's screen here. So this is the homepage of our discussion. So our thematic we're operating within the Forum of Struggles for Land and Natural Resources. This is our discussion. And so you find it on the site under the specific tab of our discussion. And you see the red button, that's where you register. There's also various other places on the website. And what Christian is showing you here is our discussion space. And it operates in various formats. So you can post a message, you can post an audio message, you can post a photo, you can post a document. And it'll be running throughout our thematic. So from today till the 14th of July. And yeah, we welcome discussion, debate, and we hope to have your enthusiastic participation on the site. We've put the link for the site, I think, many times in the chat already. But anyway, we'll be sending out mass emails with the link if anyone needs it. I just wanted to say quickly that our second webinar is on the 2nd of July. And it's stories from the ground. So what we're presenting, what we're calling on activists, on particularly land rights activists from around the world, from four continents actually, with experience at the local level, at the grassroots level, fighting for land rights, fighting for land reform, coming up with policies for land governments, fighting against landlesses, of course. So that's our second webinar on the 2nd of July. If you've already registered on our site, you will automatically get the Zoom link. And as I said before, if you haven't, please consider registering. And our final webinar for this thematic is on the 14th of July. We're calling it the way forward. We'll have some very prominent experts in the field of land rights, particularly from the International Land Coalition and from Landless, who'll be talking to us about what they make of the current state of land rights in the world, what steps they see moving forward, how we can better sort of coalesce together, form coalitions, form alliances to strengthen our position in the space. And again, if you've registered, you automatically get the link. If not, please consider doing so. And I wanted to thank everyone very much, the panelists, the translation help, very much appreciated, Ana Maria, thank you. And of course, all the attendees. It's been a great session. And yeah, I don't know if there was anything else, Milun or Ramesh.
No, thanks a lot, Kian. Also that if the chat could be made available, I think that might be helpful. But there's some very interesting and very useful websites and question answers. So
yeah, we will try to
see if that can be put on the website.
If we can pull the data from the chat. Yeah.
And thanks a lot to all.
We will also be putting a recording of the entire session in case on our website. So.
Okay, excellent. Okay. So thanks very much, everyone. It's been very good. I know we ran out of time, but I think we covered a lot of ground, and perhaps we'll have a little more time for the next two panels. So thanks very much, everyone, and have a good day.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Very nice to meet you.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci a todos. Muito obrigado. Gracias a todos.
Gracias a todos. Un abrazo.
Un buen abrazo. Chao.